So, welcome. Oh! Were you thinking about reading something from that?
From this?
Yeah.
This very book here.
Well, okay, you don't have to do it
I wasn't planning on it until until you said
well,
maybe you could read
you've got
something
a book
from
there
it.
with post-it notes in it.
I know. Well, then I planned it after you said.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to start with that?
Sure, I could do that.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah. Well, as we're in the Museum of Post-Punk and Industrial Music, I shall read something relating to post-punk at least. And this is On a Macclesfield Sunday for Ian Curtis. Down from the city, sparking his Zippo, in spite of the Lowry rain, he loves her and will do forever, as those images crash in his brain on a Macclesfield Sunday. The hollow man sighs, walks with a whimper. The climate inside him has changed, holding her postcards close to his heart, closer, though aching, estranged, on a Macclesfield Sunday. Apocalypse Now is on at the Odeon, doe eyes nailed to the screen, images conjured to napalm the senses. Conrad meets Brando, meets Sheen on a Macclesfield Sunday. Alone in the blue room with Low on the stereo, watching the lights from the cars, wearing eyeshadow and voting Conservative, spinning the spiders from Mars on a Macclesfield Sunday. In gunmetal grey of rayon and silk, dour, simple and stark, a statement of style for the modern dystopia, steel and glass over the park on a Macclesfield Sunday. Long in his overcoat by the canal, he drifts down to Paradise Mill, where ghosts still work at Garrett looms. He sinks another pill on a Macclesfield Sunday. Here is where they made parachutes. Each Tommy would pack his own. He would jump without one, diving into the unknown on a Macclesfield Sunday. He will never know America, never see her lights, never walk through New York streets with liberty set in his sights on a Macclesfield Sunday. Iconic, ironic, a man-child as shaman on 2 packs a day, waiting for the visions of Grand Mal to come, like some Saint Joan of Arc on a stray on a Macclesfield Sunday. Nerve endings fuse in spastic wild seizure as lads on the piss have a laugh, and Nazi skins get pumped on the sea kyle. The plugs have been pulled from the bath on a Macclesfield Sunday. Scared of holding his baby, lest the demons inside crack her skull. The pint glass is always half empty, as nothing is ever half full on a Macclesfield Sunday. 2 sides to every suicide, the florid and the austere, the Janus complex drowning the mask with Valium and Boddington's beer on a Macclesfield Sunday. Meeting him in the back cave, eyes of a martyred saint, tortured and haunted behind his warm words, not far from the shadows that taint on a Macclesfield Sunday. Always touching from a distance, amphetamine tweaking his heart, bringing him closer to Brussels Planquet, and love will tear us apart on a Macclesfield Sunday.
Thank you. We were talking earlier about the beginnings of music for both of us. So, can you talk about that scene, the explosion of punk and then post-punk, and the energy of that?
Yeah, the energy was fucking electric. And I went to see the Sex Pistols at the 100 Club in 1976 with my little brother Kevin. I was prompted by a flyer that I saw stuck on a wall in a pub called the Hope and Anchor
Oh.
in London, which was like a famous pub for music, and at the time it was the scene was known as pub rock. And I drive down to the M1 in my little Morris Minor and go see bands like Kilburn and the High Roads, which was Ian Dury's earlier band. I'd see John Lydon at those gigs, right in the front with his red James Dean bomber jacket. But I didn't know he had an aura then, and I noticed him. Of course, we didn't know then. I was just a kid, but a weird, interesting kid. Also used to see Mick Jones there regular, and my mates and I used to go there with two mates, and we clocked his style. Mick Jones, he was always immaculate. And he was just this. He was like a face, you know. And we looked out for him. But I was at one of these gigs. I think it was Ian Dury, and I would see bands like Dr. Feelgood was a favourite.
Yeah.
And Nick Lowe, a band called Rockpile, the Rugulator.
Oh God.
There's a whole scene. Remember them? Danny Adler, great guitar player.
And that was that circuit. Dingwalls.
Yeah, the Nashville Runes.
Nashville Rooms.
Marquee was kind of part of it.
The Rock Garden.
The Rock Garden in
Covent Garden.
Covent Garden.
I saw you two there. Played to 11 people.
We played there. Bauhaus played there too. Anyway, so I saw this flyer. I'd heard of the Sex Pistols, but didn't know. Nobody knew what they sounded like. But it was very divisive. Like people who had seen them either hated it and said it was the worst thing ever, and they couldn't play and they were rubbish, or it's like the future. And so I was intrigued and went down to see them. And the band that was on before, and there was a couple of bands, but the one that really made an impression was a band called The Clash. So I think it was like their third gig, and we were blown away by them. And then the Pistols came on, and it was all over, you know. And we decided there and then we have to do this, you know. We'd been in bands before, but it didn't have this impetus. Like it was just cover bands, and we would try and write an original. It was just kind of like a rhythm and blues number, like in the style of Dr. Feelgood, but we weren't fired up like we were after that night. A very familiar story at that time, 76, people going to sort of disenfranchised, you know, like frustrated youth in England in the mid-70s going to see this band and just being set on fire. So we did form a band like then and there, and we played 3 gigs before the plugs were literally pulled on us, and that was it. Daniel Ash came in to play what would have been our 4th gig, but it never happened.
What was the band name?
It's called the Submerged 10th, which means the lowest of the low. And then we abbreviated it to the Submerged, and then just to the. So it kind of amused me when Matt Johnson made the.
Yeah.
It's kind of clever. Yeah. Anyway, that was a spark, and then, you know, I'd buy the singles whenever they came out. I bought that. The first punk rock single by The Damned, New Rose, produced by Nick Lowe, Basher. And then whenever an album came out, I mean, really bang into The Clash and go and see them play. And when we first saw them, they had the original drummer, Terry Chimes.
Oh, okay.
So it was very early. And Keith Levine had just left them. But that was an explosion, it really was. And they say punk rock explosion, it really was an explosion. Very inspiring. And then what happened after that, that music, or what came out of that music became post-punk, and it became very interesting because it wasn't tethered to this idea of like you have to be really simplistic and 3 chords and just, you know,
very direct, basic. It quickly diversified and it took on board other influences like crowd rock, like cosmic music, like Pacan and Noi. I mean, John Lydon, I think, was into that, you know, and and there were bands like the Pop Group who were drawing from like funk and like tribal rhythms, and the Beat Poets from the 50s, and free jazz, you know, so it's like sky's the limit. It's just like your imagination can just fly, and it just has to be authentic. I mean, that was the main thing about punk, it was authentic. And in the midst of that, Bauhaus came into being, and we drew from funk and dub, reggae, things like that, very influential, and sort of avant-garde ideas and surrealism. But it came out of punk. So the core, like the heart of that music, it was inspired by punk, that spirit. And pre-punk, we were into bands like MC5, the Stooges, Velvet Underground, and that all had the same spirit, even though it was way before what was known as punk, the first punk music. It was the punk as in like Lenny Kaye's Nuggets compilation, and that was very influential on all those bands, including ourselves. Which is that music was some like garage punk, psychedelic garage punk. It was a bit of a different thing, but it had the same spirit.
Where were you in terms of your playing? Like, how long had you been playing, and where did you feel you were in terms of technical ability?
Compared to a lot of those punk bands, we're pretty accomplished. It's almost like we try to hide it.
Yeah.
But I mean, we appreciated the power of simplicity. So we hated musos, you know, like, or these bands that would play too many notes too fast without any feeling, you know, and there was it was all sort of very sort of pompous and self-important and inflated egos and inflated hair. And all of that had to be burnt to the fucking ground, incinerated, scorched earth policy. And I remember like this demarcation that was visited upon my quite extensive record collection. I mentioned this earlier when I first came here. Like a whole lot of records had to go because it didn't fit into the ideology. So the record collection went from this to this.
Yeah.
But what remained was, the Rolling Stones remained. That might have been controversial at the time, but they did, because they had it. And the Stooges and Velvet Underground, the aforementioned, MC5, that could all stay. The Doors stayed. The Eagles, not so much. I had some Eagles albums. So it's like, it was very, very stringent, you know.
The demarcation lines over AI right now make me think about punk. Like the old school musicians, and I was one of them, aspiring to be Billy Cobham, technically proficient, Buddy Rich, Gene Krupa, here's punk. Doesn't matter what, it fucking does. I just spent 8 years getting better. It was kind of frightening. So then you had the old school bands go, punk isn't real, fuck off. The whole controversy of A&M Records and Herb Alpert and people threatening to leave. There was heavy opinions and people getting really upset. And then I felt like it blossomed into post-punk, everything.
Yeah.
Really quickly as well. That first edition was 78.
Yeah.
Metal Box was 79.
Yeah.
Exploited did Punk's Not Dead. I think it's 81. Well, it fucking is. You know. And of course they're still going.
Yeah. I think Metal Box was a revolutionary album. It was just
next level. That it was so exciting when that came out, and that was really using the starting point, the ideology of the punk, but not restricting it. It was expansive, like wildly expansive, and yeah, I love that. But that was very inspiring to us, to Bauhaus. You know, we love that.
So who were the other bands that were competition or friends? Or, and it's weird. We're all, lots of us are friends now, but I was in an elevator at the Iroquois with the Clash, and we would just stare at each other. It was like, motherfuckers, you know. And now it would be like, oh, I'm Martin, here's my card, let's jam. But there was a strange.
It was like gang mentality. Tough, you know. It's like putting on a tough act, really. But bands that we respected were Joy Division, big time, more than anybody, really. And the pop group, Hill, The Fool.
Oh God, yeah.
Gang of Four. Psychedelic Furs. Yeah, and all these bands would have been featured on the John Peel radio show, which was highly influential. You know, John Peel was a really important figure, and thanks to him, you know, I mean, he played a single when it came out, Ella Lugosi's Dead, and he played the second one. In the previous sitting, I told the story of that. I could repeat it. Shall I repeat it?
Yes.
It's a good story.
It's a good story. So we would, us Bauhaus, we moved into a house together. It was just like the young ones. Really like it. It was us four and this other guy who was, he kind of a smoothie character. He had his vibe was like Brian Ferry, kind of Clark Gable, suits and all that. He never did the fucking washing up. Anyway, we'd be in the kitchen, and this house was haunted. It was seriously haunted, so it was always really cold. It was haunted cold, which is bloody cold. You cannot heat a house like that. So we'd be in the kitchen with our overcoats on, and all huddled around the single bar heater and the radio, smoking spliff, you know, hashish as it was then. And listening to the John Peel show, and then we'd break off and have conversations, make some coffee, instant coffee, and then you know, go back, split, skinning up. And this one night we're talking about something, some you know, philosophical bullshit, and I think Kevin said, hold on a minute, shut up, shut the fuck up. Listen. And John Peel was playing Bela Lugosi's Dead on the radio. So, what? So we turned it. This was a very special moment. So we turned it up, and then we just like rapt attention. We listened to the whole record, and then we hear, well, that's Bauhaus, rather good single, I think. Very long, but it's and we thought, he's into it. And we just had the second single, Dark Entries, delivered to us. It hadn't been released yet, but we got copies. So we had this brainwave. Okay, so tomorrow night, lads, we'll get in the Ford Cortina, drive down the M1 70 miles, and we'll somehow get this to John Peel, the second single. So we did. So we drive down there, and because there's a live show, it started at 10 o'clock till midnight.
Yeah. 2
hours. We got there for the start of it, and we went to the BBC in the reception area, which is a rather intimidating building, all marble and stone. We plucked up the courage to approach the receptionist and explain why we were there. John Peel played that record last night, and we got the new one here, and we want to get it to him if possible, you know. So she said, oh, all right, boys, let's just take a seat. And she calls up his producer, John Waters, and boys, because we're like, my brother was 19, you know, he was 20, 21. He goes, yeah, the producer said go in the lift and go up to the third floor, and he'll meet you up there. Good luck. You know, sweet. And then so John Waters comes and says, oh yeah, he said come in. So we go into this sort of sepulchral lair, the studio. It's all very, very dark, and he had a single angle poised lamp on, and he's playing his vinyl. You know, and he gestures to us to sit down on the sofa at the back. He had a very nice bottle of really good French red wine, and he asked for 4 BBC cups, these paper cups, and he topped us all up with this very nice wine, and said how much he liked the single, you know, and he graciously accepted our gift of the second single, and then he'd be on the air live, you know. It's like, playing that, he played The Fool. Coming back to me, I don't know. I think it might have been Roush Rumble. Anyway, he played The Fool. There's The Fool there, always excellent. And I've got some special guests in the studio tonight. I'm not going to tell you who they are, but they've come all the way down from their hometown in Northampton. And we stayed for the whole show. And then a couple of nights later, we played Dark Entrance. Then he invited us to do a session. And to do a Peel session was a real big deal. So we were away, and you know, a lot of it was thanks to John Peel. He was a big supporter, and we did some live shows with him where he DJ'd, and he'd introduce us and talk us up, you know. So very grateful.
Were you aiming for a particular label to sign?
Not a particular label, but a label. But we would send out. We had an acetate of Bela Lugosi, which is they just made one copy of this, and it wears out pretty quickly. So we had the precious acetate that we would send to labels that we really liked, or a tape. You know. And we sent this to, I remember, Friction.
Okay.
Because we liked The Cure.
Yeah.
And we got this letter back from Mr. Perry, who was the owner, right? Saying he found the record interesting but overlong, and he seriously advised us to edit it down, and especially if we're thinking of this as a single, then it has to be very much shorter. You know? But it's not for his label, but good luck finding a label that, you know, is willing to put out this kind of thing. And that label turned out to be Small Wonder Records, which was run out of a record store, an independent record store in Walthamstow in London. Pete Stenny was the guy who ran it, and he had the acetate. It was like this treasure that was being passed around. And at one time, Nick Kent, the writer, had it, and then I think he passed it to a Rough Trade, and it wasn't for them. Anyway, it ended up with Pete Stenny, and he invited us down to the store just before it closed. Met him there, and then he locked the door, put the close sign on, and there was a cardboard cutout of Elvis Costello in the window, because his first album had just come out, My Aim Is True. And behind the cardboard cutout of Elvis was a big bag of grass. He's saying, hiding in plain sight. And he brought out his grass and he was skinning up. And he said, "I'm going to play the record now." And he played the whole of the track, 9.5 minutes. And he finished. And we've said, because we started to second guess ourselves by this time, because we had a couple of those, it's a bit long, lads, you know. And we said, "Is it too long, Pete?" He goes, "No, you're joking. This is like, no, you don't think about editing this, because you want all of this." He said, "It's like Sister Ray, like Velvet Underground. You want it every second of that, and I want to sign you, and I want to put it out." So that's what happened.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what were the reviews? Because you remember back then, journalists were super powerful.
Oh yeah.
You know.
And scathing, and opinionated.
And delighted to fuck you over.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how was it received?
We got a lot of that. And generally speaking, we got a lot of flack from that lot. Live gigs as well, you know. I'm thinking, what the hell are we supposed to do, you know? But it fired us up. Is that thing of like kicking against the bricks, you know?
Yeah.
You just fuck that. You know? We're gonna go out and do what we want to do. So yeah, in Europe it was different. In Germany and like Belgium, Holland, it was well received. So we would go out there and just get in a transit van and do these gigs out there quite a bit, especially in Germany. But in England, it took a long time for the press to come around. In fact, it wasn't really until '98, and we came back and did that tour, and we were lauded by the same publications like the NME. You know, that's like we were saying it was the bee's knees, but it took all that time. You know, things change over time. You know, it's like the Velvet Underground. Talk about them. They were panned when they first came out. You know?
So what label did you end up with?
With well, initially 4AD,
Okay.
and then Beggars Banquet, which was like the parent label, because we were growing all the time, and 4AD said we see where you're going with this, and to be honest, we like it, we love the band, but we don't have the funds to take this where it looks like it's going. But beggars do, so we signed with them.
And then you start to tour the world. You come to the States for the first time.
Yeah, in 1980, came here on that tour, mini tour. We only went to New York. We did Toronto and here, maybe one other place.
Why Toronto? I know there's a few people on the call.
Because they picked up on it.
Okay.
There was interest, like initially from Canada, and saying, well, really big time with Love and Rockets. They really picked up on that. It was just the receptivity there.
I was going to ask you this before. What shit jobs were you doing?
Ice cream man.
Really?
Yeah, for 2 weeks. But I stopped off to visit my mum, have a cup of tea.
In the van?
In the van. So you have to get the van back and put it on the generator, or else all the ice cream melts. So I went in and stopped off, and it was getting a bit late. I was chatting with her and having a laugh. And she goes, "Ooh, David, I think you better get that van back to the depot." I said, "Yeah, you're right, I'm all right. I'm going." And I put the key in the lock, and it snapped off in like the door, so I couldn't get in the van. So what was I going to do? Tried to get it a tow service, tow it back to the depot, and I'm riding in this tow truck, and it was too late. The ice cream melted, so I got the sack.
Wow.
But yeah, but it used to play. I remember it had you used to have to wind up the music was like a clockwork thing, and it played the Teddy Bear's Picnic. And I would just wind it up just enough so it played it really slow and in a very sort of melancholic maudlin.
Dub, like Teddy Bear Picnic dub.
Not really. It was more depressing than that. It just amused me.
Children are crying.
Yeah, but I had a lot of jobs though. Like,
Any other shit jobs?
Yes.
I worked for the government.
doing what?
Off at Trafalgar Square. I was a clerical assistant.
That sounds boring.
It was terrible. I used to be in there speeding all the time.
Oh.
And I would send out the letters. We're sorry to hear of the death of your husband. She will be sadly missed. I just to fuck everything up.
You bastard.
Yeah. I got called in. I put some henna in my hair. and it didn't really do anything. So 2 weeks after that, I bleached it, born blonde. I bleached it. I remember being down at the sink. I looked up, I was on the way to work. Carrot. Fucking carrot. Because the henna was still in there. I didn't, what did I know? And all I could do was run out the door and go to work. And they're like, we'll have a meeting and we'll let you know what's going on. I'm like, oh yeah, what's going on about what?
Have an intervention.
Well, if you still have a job. I mean, it was crazy. And they decided at the end of the week, because I didn't work directly with the public, I could still keep my job. I was terrified. And then Part-Time Punks came out.
Yeah.
We were like, fuck. You know, anybody who's just trying to make a mohawk for the weekend.
Yeah.
Crazy times. Ice Cream Man.
Ice Cream Man, Sheet Metal Factory.
Oh.
That was very short-lived. It was in the middle of winter, and they would open this big roll-up door, and there's like freezing wind whipping away, and inside it's like hell, and it smells like it's sulfur, and this vat of acid where they get the sheets, you know, and it's and the sulfurous fumes that were choking, you know, and I stuck that for just a couple of days. That was a hard one. A good one. I stuck this one out for 6 weeks because it was to buy my Marshall bass amp, and this was a sawmill, and this was pretty dangerous. So we had to wear. It was also really fucking noisy. I mean, now you call it industrial, but with all the saw, you know, mill shit going on. So we had these headphones. They were oil filled. And they were really uncomfortable. It was the middle of summer, and the little bits of sawdust and wood would get down inside these headphones, and it was so irritating. If you took them off, it's just like, you know, throttling gristle to the max. And I noticed, the first thing I noticed was in there on all these machines, these saws, were these 6-inch nails, and they were sharpened to a point. I said, what's with the nails? And this guy goes, well, accidents happen, sir. And aside from this, splinters, like, all the time. You're going to get splinters, and this is for the nails are for the splinters. You know, just dig them out. So yeah, that was hellish. But at least I got an amp at the end of it. I could go on. I had many
So
jobs.
what was the amp? I have to
It was
ask.
a Marshall,
people like
Marshall bass amp.
Okay.
Just a standard Marshall bass amp.
And do you still use Marshall to this day?
No. No. But it was the right amp at the time, you know.
So you tour in the States. Things are going decent. Are you writing songs? Are you? Are you just making music all the time?
Yeah. It was a highly creative period for like 4 years, and each album sold more, and the gigs got bigger, you know. But so did certain egos, you know. I'll leave it there. I'll leave it there, Martin.
Okay, so I wanted to talk about a recent release on Independent Project Records, because it just delighted me, this idea that I forgot what it's called.
Tracks from the Attic, Revisited.
Tracks from the Attic, and then
Preceded by Tracks from the Attic.
Yeah, Revisited.
Yeah.
Going through boxes, you like this, Tom? Going through shoe boxes of cassettes.
Literally, shoe boxes.
And you mentioned earlier, you sent these boxes of tapes to.
It was a friend, Gabor, in Budapest, in Hungary, because he volunteered to. He knew, he was aware of the existence of these tapes, and he was concerned that they would be disintegrating because they go way back to the 80s.
Yeah.
And he volunteered to digitize them.
But I would have just shit my pants to mail then? Do you FedEx them with a tracking number?
Yeah, exactly that. Yes.
Okay, all right.
It took a while to get there, but yeah.
Okay.
And he sent the files back.
So you go through all these ideas, and then there's elaborate artwork. Some of the cassettes in the packaging are the real cassettes.
Yeah, in the super deluxe one, there was 75 of those, so there's an additional 75.
I'm in love with that idea.
Yeah.
Of like the real thing from this time period in these packages.
Yeah, it's special. Yeah.
Is there a name for that? Do you think? Like that process of compiling and revisiting?
I suppose it is just what you just said.
Compiling and surely there's a better name for that.
Let's sit with that. But the only reason this came out was I was approached by the label, Independent Project Records, asking if I had anything in the way of lo-fi, cassette, unreleased, demo-y. He said, and I had all those files. I said, yeah, I've got a trove. Here you go. Thinking that they would just select like an album's worth, but they said, oh, we love all of this. We want to put it all out as a nice collection, like 3 vinyl records,
It's really
and really beautiful packaging. And it did quite well. So then they said, how about you go in, you select 10 tracks, and you go in and do them like fully realized, produced, and with a full band. So that's what I did, and that's what the new one is. Tracks from the Attic Revisited, and that turned out really well, and that was an interesting exercise, to really seriously revisit them and hone them and work on them and craft them and make them fully realized.
Did you see how early were these songs?
84.
Okay.
It goes back to 84. It's 84 to 2004. Because in 2004 I switched to recording on my phone. That's why. So it's like the technology dictates.
Okay. So is that next?
Which is the case with
Songs from the Nokia?
No, this is songs. No, the next one is there's a double solo album, a new album coming out in November. Postcards from the Afterlife, it's called.
Okay. So, and how is all of that feeling? Are you feeling your age?
No.
Really?
I'm astonished that at this age. I don't feel my age at all.
Because you've been, I don't know when this Rhapsody.
Rhapsody, Threnody and Prayer. These go back, these were written over the decades. Some of these go back to the 70s.
Okay.
And then up until like the week before this was published. But there's not many. This is it. It's like, I don't have like a big trove of poems because it's not like the main focus, but sometimes an idea comes up and it can only be a poem somehow. It's like it chooses its own form of expression.
So, we talked a little bit earlier. I don't know if you don't want to talk about Genesis.
I don't know.
Okay. So, can you describe initial meetings with Jen, and were you in touch?
Yeah, we wrote to each other, and he would write to me quite a lot. He was very generous. He'd always send me beautiful books, and special editions and records. We met when Bauhaus opened for Throbbing Gristle in 1979 at the Town Hall in Northampton, which is my hometown, and it was put on by these very hip promoters. Final Solution. And they would put together great bills, really interesting stuff. And they put together this bill of us and TG, and I was into them, but I'd never seen them live, and that was quite a revelation myself and Daniel Ash, after we played our set, we went down the front because he wanted to experience this. And it was it was very loud, very intense, wall of sound, of course, and it was obviously sort of semi-improvised, and just very hardcore, you know. But we felt very up. We felt very kind of elated, and it didn't really go with what we were hearing, so it was kind of incongruous. I mentioned this to Jen afterwards, and he said, "Oh, that's probably something to do with the negative ion generators." I said, "What's that?" He showed us these big industrial negative ion generators they had in front of the stage that pump out negative ions into the crowd. So it charges the atmosphere. It's sort of like after an electrical storm, it cleans the atmosphere as well. And it just has this sort of up effect. But something that was extraordinary about that, was a lot of things extraordinary about it, but the way they ended was so anti-rock and roll, in that, as opposed to the usual, you know, like end with a big bang, go off, and then get the crowd going, come on for the encore, you know. It's just like they stopped, and then just, in a very humble way, just turned off the amps. Lights came up, and just started doing the cables, you know, turning things on, putting things in little bags, you know, no like rock and roll show, and it totally threw the whole audience, because you didn't know how to react to it. It was very interesting, you know, very original. Okay, and then people just turn around and just sort of saunter off.
Did you collaborate on anything with Jim?
Not really. I mean, he made overtures to me over the years, a few times, but to be honest with you, I was always very wary of Jen. Like, I felt like I just instinctively felt I should keep him at arm's length. I felt he was dangerous in a way, and I didn't want to be a very sort of. I felt he was very manipulative and powerful and dark. And I didn't want to be sucked into that vortex. So that's why.
Okay.
And I think he did have that, and he was fighting with it. And I think he balanced that out. I say he because I knew Jen as a he, and I can't think of Jen as she or they or whatever. But neither can his daughters. I think the love aspect of his persona came to the fore much more as he got older, which was good to see, very good to see. And the lights came in, you know.
Yeah.
It was very dark. He was very dark, and you know, when I found out, you know, much later on, he could be extremely violent and vindictive. So I did have such a strong instinct about that.
There's some notes from Jen, handwritten notes on the wall over there.
Yeah.
That vibrate from time to time. This is a strange place sometimes.
What do you mean, really physically vibrate?
No, just for me.
You feel it, feeling,
Oh, yeah,
feeling from it.
Yeah. I mean, it's
Very
like
strong persona. Yeah.
Sometimes it gets heavy, you know. When Geordie passed,
Yeah.
it was tough.
Yeah.
I went downstairs. I'm like, okay, I'm going to take this energy. I'm going to crank some Killing Joke. I'm going to screen print downstairs. I lasted about 15 seconds. Just, you know, yeah. There's some of that here. I was worried because this used to be a funeral home.
Yeah.
And there was some kind of poltergeist chasing people. There's like a poltergeist convention in Chicago. Whatever. And I'm like, well, don't bring your equipment here because it used to be a funeral home. And they're like, no, those people are dead.
Right.
The things that are in here are vibrating with the energy from when those people were alive. So,
Yeah.
What about bass players? We didn't talk about bass players in our previous session.
No.
Who's on your spectrum of bass players?
Okay. Well, certainly Wobble.
Yeah.
Huge respect.
Yeah.
So in the pocket.
He's so fucking funny as well.
He's funny. You know, when he was funny. And coming from, I mean, he would certainly know this name, Errol Flabber Holt, who played on tons and tons of reggae records, great records, and a lot of the dub. If you look at the sleeve notes on, or the credits on those albums, you often see Flabber Holt, Lee Scratch Perry, you know, King Tubby, all of that. I'm huge into all of that whole genre. Aside from that, I don't know. Fernando Sanders played with Lou Reed a lot. Played fretless. I've always liked fretless, of course.
Youth was talking about fretless on his thread today.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know if it was Youth or somebody else. And there was another bass player who had a fretless. Was it you and Youth?
I guess it would have been, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we played with Kelly Joe really early days, you know, Bauhaus. Yeah. Paul McCartney, especially like circa Revolver 1966. Amazing work. And that sound of that bass, very powerful, and then melodic, you know, beautiful, and driving.
Anybody? I'm trying to think who else.
End Whistle, I really liked.
Okay.
One of the first things I ever worked out on the bass, and it took me a long time to get it, was the bass kind of solo on My Generation.
Yeah, I'm trying to think it through.
Yeah, it's a good one.
What about Delta 5? 2 bass players.
Right, okay. Yeah. Yeah, James Jamerson. From all the Motown stuff.
Oh, okay.
In fact, he played the original bass line on Ball of Confusion, which Love Rockets revisited.
And who did the 801 cover? Third Uncle?
Who did it?
Was that you? Was that Love and Rockets or Bauhaus?
That's Bauhaus.
Okay.
Yeah.
Some decent covers.
Yeah, we were selective. You know. It was always things. It was sort of like paying homage to our heroes and their inspirations. Yeah.
Was there a covers album?
There was a covers EP,
Okay.
which was the Ziggy Stardust and Third Uncle, and what else was on there? I can't remember. Couple of covers.
We've got some. I don't know who filled out a question earlier outside. Does anybody just want to ask a question? I can go through the questions.
Ask away.
I'll
Yes, sir.
So, looking at your entire music career now, imagine looking at yourself as soon as you just left Bauhaus. What would you tell him right now about your future in music?
About the future. It's okay, kid. It's all going to work out. Just be true to yourself and be authentic. And that's what it's all about. I think I actually did tell myself that, because I really believe that authenticity is the main thing. Yeah.
I can feel it in all your music too. So
Yeah.
it's good.
Yeah. And stop wearing those skinny ties.
Yeah.
I hope this isn't. So I'm in a post-punk cover band, and one of the songs that we do is "Kick in the Eye,"
Yeah.
and I just feel like there's something missing from it. Can you give any like advice on what's the essence of that, like that maybe we're missing?
Well, that bass line, I mean, it's really funky. And there's a lot of funk in Bauhaus if you listen. And there's also some disco. And where that comes from is
the band I was going to join before Bauhaus was a funk disco covers band. And I got this gig, and we were going to go to Germany, play American air bases. And I had to learn about 60 of these tracks, and they're all in that genre, you know, those two genres. And it's not really my thing, but I learned it and I got it down. And then Daniel asked me to join. I was the last to join Bauhaus, and he asked me to join, and I was aware of it, and I really was into joining it, so I didn't really have to think twice. And I knew I wasn't letting the guys down in the other band because they had a replacement bass player, like another guy who played with them. So I joined Bauhaus, and it was interesting to me, this, because that then seeped through, like the funk and the disco seeped through into Bauhaus, kind of unconsciously, but in a weird way. So it's like, I called it twisted disco, and it's like a different context. You know, it's not a funk band by any shot, but that influence came out, and I wouldn't be like thinking, oh, let me do a funky bass line on this. You just start playing, don't think about it. It's very unconscious, subconscious work. It will come out. But that particular track, the essence of that track is that funk. So I don't know. I'd go and listen to some funk records. Go and listen to Bootsy.
Did you bring a cassette demo of your?
Yeah, we need to hear it.
I think there's some YouTube.
What's the name of your band?
Yeah, we need to check this out.
It's called Neon Noir.
Neon Noir.
That's good.
Yeah, we
It's a
kind
good
of try
name.
to do some classics and rarities is our thing. So we like to.
That's
pick
a great name.
songs
Yeah.
Like a deep cuts type.
that- Yeah,
Okay.
it's the guitar.
We weren't talking to you. I'm glad you're in it.
Who else had a question?
Yeah. Do you have any memories you can share about the first time Bauhaus played Chicago? I know it's written about that he played Space Place and the Wax Trax guys put it on. But I was wondering if you had. And
Well,
also
we enjoyed the flamboyant society of the Wax Trax guys, you know? And we appreciated their support, and they were great champions of us, and
Why
they were
was-
very flirtatious.
Were they looking to sign
They were looking to fuck us, I think.
you? Same thing. But
Not really. But they really genuinely love the band. They put on those gigs, you know, and they were very much into it. And then we talked about music, and they were into the same things as we were, like Stooges and Velvet Underground. And they were great supporters, so it was great. And I loved the city here, had an energy different to New York. I'd only been to New York in America. And coming here, it's different, but it's very urban and gritty. And you could like feel the music like in the bones of the city, you know, going way back to the Chicago blues, you know, which I was aware of very early on. I was into all of that blues music. Yeah.
I saw in the diary that said that there's a book up front that Brian Shanley photographs, and it mentions Tuts.
Right.
Did you do 2 shows?
No, just one. Well, one at Toots
Okay.
and one somewhere else.
It was Space Place. I think.
Yeah, Space Place.
that
It was
Evanston?
Space Place.
No.
It was.
I think it was West Loop, actually.
Hold on a minute.
Yeah.
I think it was Space Place.
Okay.
That's really ringing a bell.
Maybe I saw
then-
a different page of the diary that's.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, I know when we came back, we played the Cabaret Metro as it was.
Yeah.
And then Joe Shanahan, he was a great supporter of the band.
Yeah. Yeah.
I invited him tonight, but he was taking his missus to the ballet, and you can't argue with that.
Any other? Yeah.
You had mentioned that you went to Canada first before you came to the United States. I was wondering if you were aware of the radio station CFNY back, because they were out of Toronto and they were huge.
It's ringing a distant bell. I mean, we went to New York first, then we went to Toronto, and then to here, and then back to New York.
Because they were huge, like
Yeah.
in that area
It's ringing a
for
bell.
a lot of the bands that came out at that time. Because I grew up in Canada, that's what I listened to.
Oh, okay.
That's how I was introduced to it. So I just wondered, because they had just done a documentary, I wasn't sure if you. I thought it.
I don't know
about
about
you.
that.
Okay.
But radio was obviously, it was really important in those days. College radio was crucial as well. Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
Can you describe it as succinctly as possible what it's like working with Alan Moore, either musically or magically?
Well, same thing really. And Alan would certainly say that. Anybody working in music or art is doing some magic. Extraordinary experience. I mean, it's just like he's a genius, and I feel really privileged to have known Alan and still communicate with him occasionally. He's just on a whole other level. You know, it's kind of scary, really. And I used to love just going, before we worked on anything together, just would go around to visit him, and it'd be like an audience with, you know. And I would be downloading the information for months afterwards, you know. All, of course, fueled by these 3-foot long spliffs. And he would smoke, you know, chain smoke. Yeah, he's operating on an entirely different level to most people. It's sort of like super brain. Yeah. It's kind of like the sun. The sun god. Yeah. You feel like if you get too close, you'll burn. You know, but you want to bask in the heat. You know, and he makes the flowers grow. And those flowers are wild. Wild flowers.
You worked with Hubert Selby Jr. too.
I only did one thing with him, which was.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah, I did
more
work
than I
with him.
did
Yes,
with
I
him.
did. Yes, it was for. It was a Halloween night at Royce Hall in LA. It was put on by a great producer and my dear departed friend Hal Wilner. It's a tribute to Edgar Allan Poe, and he called it the Poe Show. And he would invite different guests, and he put together, you know, extraordinary combinations of people. And one of those combinations was myself, Wayne Kramer from MC5, a great cellist, Joyce Rooks, and Hubert Selby Jr. And he did a reading of The Telltale Heart. And very spontaneous, we just have one run through at the sound check. And I was doing it, my part in that, I had all this percussion, weird instruments. I had a big vat of water with contact mics in it, and I had these tubular bells that I smashed with a hammer, and I was dipping those into this bucket of water with contact mics. It made an incredible sound, so bending the notes, just very eerie. And I had this Victorian miniature harp that was very detuned in a beautiful way, just plucking that and then feeding that through all these echo units and effects pedals. And Joyce, the cellist, she was using loops, so it wasn't just straight cello. And then Wayne was bowing the guitar, and he had effects going as well. So imagine this cacophony, layers and layers of texture. And over the top of that, Hubert Selby Jr. was intoning the Telltale Heart. It was very powerful. It was one of the last things he did.
Is there a recording of that?
I've looked for it, and I know that how he pretty much recorded everything he did. So I don't know if that exists in his archives. I'm actually going to look into that. It'll be really interesting to hear.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've both been through a lot.
Tonight.
We went through a lot yesterday.
I did go
Fucking
through a lot yesterday.
tornadoes.
Oh my God.
David called me at 11 o'clock. I'm in Minneapolis.
No, but I said, no, I'm in the twilight zone.
Oh, yeah.
So I tell them what happened? Do you want to hear what happened?
Yeah.
Okay. So, well, first of all, my flight was delayed by 5 hours. I'm leaving from LA. 5 hours because of the weather here. But there was a silver lining to that because they were screening the first World Cup game
Oh.
with Mexico and South Africa. And so I watched that, but they didn't have the sound on. So I managed to get it on the radio and I had my headphones on. So I got a beer and I was in the Sky Lounge. I was very happy for 2 hours. Anyway, and then I got on the plane. I wasn't so happy. It was fucking freezing as well. It's pretty cold. You know, you sometimes get on a plane and it's just really cold, like a flying fridge. Anyway, and we sat in the tarmac for ages. Anyway, finally took off, and we landed, and I get out. Now the tannoy system was all distorted to fuck, so all I'm hearing is, so when take the back. And like, everyone's like, what? Anyway. And they checked my little carry-on at the gate because it was full. So but I had my guitar there, so I got my guitar and I go off and I'm looking for the baggage claim. I'm thinking, this doesn't look like Chicago. And then I hear an announcement, the flight to Chicago is leaving in 20 minutes. Wait a minute. That's going to be a very short flight if I'm in Chicago. Harrier jump jet goes up and comes down again. So I asked actually a cleaner, because there wasn't many people there. I said, excuse me, where are we? And she goes, oh, the airport. I said, yeah, I know, but which city is this? She goes, Minneapolis. I said, what? I thought I was in Chicago. I'm thinking, what? That's when I contacted you. I don't know what's going on here. And there was a long line to the information booth, and everyone's like, what's going on? And that was taking forever. So then I looked at the board and he said, yeah, I'm looking for Chicago. Okay, there's one leaving in an hour. So I made my way down there. I ended up back on the same plane. So what had happened was, because of the weather, they'd had to go to Minneapolis because it was too dangerous to come here, sit there and wait it out for a bit, and then I got on and we started the time out again for ages. Then it finally, took off. So I didn't get to bed till about 2:30. So that happened, yes.
It's always something, isn't it?
It's always something, isn't it, mate?
It's like touring anymore. The weather, gas.
Lead singers.
I didn't. You said that. Don't get me started. Well, don't get either of us.
Don't get me started. It's becoming our catchphrase.
It's our new podcast. Lead singers. What the fuck?
In brackets, don't get me started.
So what? It seems like you found this, like, I think about Wobble as well. He's releasing an album of psychedelic Beatles covers. Did you know about that?
I didn't know about that, but I love the idea of it.
I love it too. And his sons are playing, and he's writing and finding this balance, and it feels to me like you found this path where you're expressing yourself and making things work, and not losing your mind, and making sense of it. Does it feel like you've made sense of it?
Yeah. It's still, it's still a mystery though, but that's good. It's not like I don't have it all sussed out, and I'm still exploring and ever curious. I think curiosity is really important, but you can't really manufacture that. But I am very curious. And exploratory. Yeah.
Okay.
I like doing this kind of thing. I've been doing more and more of these
chats, chinwags.
I love it.
Yeah.
I sat with maybe 10 years ago. I was down at South by Southwest when that used to be a thing, and they said, "Would you stay an extra day because Ian Astbury wants to do a vocal clinic?" What? What? Well, you don't need me for that. And his manager, they'd set up a vocal tips with Ian Astbury. I'm like, this doesn't feel right. Does he just want to talk? And they're like, well, no, his manager says he wants to do vocal tips with Ian. And he didn't at all. It was a complete misunderstanding. And we ended up just talking for a couple of hours. And I had a blast. It was the first kind of chat I'd had. Kind of remembering, I think it's remembering how things were, not for how they were, but just to think about John Peel going to the BBC with a record. What the hell would happen if you did that now?
Yeah.
You wouldn't get within a mile of the BBC.
No. Yeah.
Just rethinking this stuff. So I love
And helping you appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And understand and reflect and learn and fuck it up differently the next time.
Yes.
Do we have any final questions?
Well, I think you just touched on something. You talked about like how you couldn't get into the BBC now, but how much has the music industry changed over the course of these last several decades? What could you get away with before that you can't get away with now? And what can you get away with now that you couldn't get away with before?
So, well, so much that you can't get away with. I mean, it's become more accessible as far as just getting your music out there, you know, but because of that, there's so much of it, you know, so it's sort of like overwhelming really, and it's hard to disseminate, you know, the good things. So you can't try too hard, you just have to let it wash over you, and then I suppose cream comes to the surface. But I think on the whole, it's a good thing for that accessibility. But there's not the machine, the financial machine isn't in existence like it used to be. And there isn't, something that's really sad that's been lost is the nurturing of talent by a label, say, where a band would sign to a label and they would have a long-term plan for them. Like they're building their career, and very hands-on. Now it's like it's got to hit real quick as you're out, you know. So that's tough. I think on the whole, not sound like a boring old git, but I think it was much better in the old days. I do. I mean, as far as like being in a band, I mean, I'm very grateful that I came into music when I did, where you just get on and do it, and get on the stage, and you have to physically do it. I think something that's really changed everything is the phone, on many levels. And just in the as far as the environment of a live gig, this and this, like that has a negative impact on a live gig. And I really respect and like some of the artists who are making you put that thing in a bag. Like Jack White and Bob Dylan and whoever does that, good on it. I'm so happy to see that thing go in a fucking bag. You know, give it back at the end. Yes, and it really changes the energy and the focus, like to an extraordinary degree. So that's all interesting.
I think I saw Idols. They asked people to put their phones away.
Yeah.
You know.
And they complied.
Lots of people did, and then there was lots of people in the crowd. If you were there filming, people would just, you know,
step
stare
up.
you down.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was great. I was at a Jack White show, but I had such anxiety when I put my phone in the bag. I didn't know what the time was. You know, it was just I was fucking lost for a minute. And I, you know.
You couldn't embrace that lostness.
Well, I guess not.
That's a shame.
Because you were calling me from the airport. Where am I?
I suppose it depends on your situation. Yeah, sure.
But I know down in the studio, I used to sit there with tape machines and dub delays, analog, dub mixing, and then you go down this digital path. We all went down it. This is unbelievable. We could do anything. And we got some stuff downstairs. You could do anything, but you have to decide to do it. Get to the next screen. Go to a screen. Go to another screen. Hit the thing. By the time you're 5 screens in, you forgot what you were going to do in that moment to a mix. And we're on the verge of getting rid of that digital console and bringing out the analog console back in and fucking around, playing around in a sandpit of it.
I can see this coming back. I see signs of it. Analog sensibility coming back, and I think that's great.
It's not
completely.
No.
And use some digital
yeah,
aspects.
but tactile mixing.
Yeah.
Like we used to. Yeah.
Yeah, you remember like doing a mix in the old days. We'd do a mix, and everybody would be hands-on because you got one go at it.
Yeah.
It's going through, and everything has to be right. And if there's one cock up, even though it might be brilliant up to that point, then you have to stop it, rewind,
Yeah.
do it all again. And it's so nerve-wracking, you know, like, and the responsibility, you know.
We were, just to go back to the beginning, when we did the peel session, there was like 4 faders that they wanted to pull at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And the engineer had different lengths of conduit sawed in half that they put over the faders to pull 4 faders before it was like the first form of automation.
Yeah.
Pieces of pipe cutting on.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Thank
This
you.
has been delightful. I think, are you happy to sign some things?
As long as it's not a blank check, Martin.
Hey, hey, well, it's funny you should. David will sign some things, and for
I
those
won't
of you,
sign the Tones on Tail album. I've been asked many times.
That's
Not that I love that band, but I wasn't in it.
hang around, grab some of David's merch up front, and I think in a while we'll head down to Electric Funeral. You still up for a bit of a hang? Or are you exhausted?
No, I'm a bit exhausted, but I'm up for a hang.
So, please. Can you sign this for me?
Absolutely.
Thank you.